Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being a part of our 40 Under 40 chat today. I'm Hannah Lutz with Automotive News. We have some great 40 Under 40 honorees joining us. First, Adam Fitzpatrick, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at Ballweg Automotive Family.
Hello.
And we have Eddie Huang, General Manager at Mercedes-Benz of Foothill Ranch.
Hi, how are you?
Rob Sickle, Vice President and Executive Manager at Pine Belt Enterprises.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Alan Tate, Managing Partner at Mid-County Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Hello, everyone.
And Dustin Walters, Vice and Operating Partner and General Manager at Friendship Automotive.
Hello, how you doing?
Before we get started, I'd like to thank Ally for helping make this event possible, and welcome Steve Kapusta, Ally's Vice President of Specialized Asset Management.
Thanks, Hannah. Good afternoon to everyone on the Hangout. I just wanted to say that we are really excited to once again support the 40 Under 40 program because it recognizes leaders like Adam, Dustin, Alan, Robert, and Edward who are taking their businesses to the next level. And it's exciting to be able to hear directly from all of you about the insights and the things you're doing differently to achieve success. I'm particularly interested in today's discussion on dealer training techniques because I think training is one of those elements that can really help a dealership team excel. So I'll hand it back to Hannah to get us started.
Thanks, Steve. We know that in this industry, the consumer is changing, so that means your employee has to change too. During today's panel, we'll discuss how our 40 Under 40s are implementing new training tactics, helping their staffers climb the ladder, and creating a workplace and work experience that keeps employees engaged long-term. Toward the end of the session, we will take questions from the audience. To submit a question, click the link at the bottom of your video window. We have lots to cover in just 30 minutes, so let's get started. For our first question, I'd like to ask, how do you empower your employees toward career growth? Dustin, let's start with you. You mentioned that you remind your staffers that there's always more of the business to learn. Can you tell us about that?
Well, absolutely. You know, there's a lot of things you can do inside of a dealership, and just because you start in one position doesn't mean that might not be the best seat on the bus, as we call it. We actually have little yellow buses that everybody has to know that, you know, we want to make sure you're on the right seat, on the right bus at the right time. So if somebody's interested or has, we have discussions about what they may want to do. We're fortunate. We have several stores, so if somebody wants to learn a little bit about parts or finance, they can go to visit the other stores and kind of work as an apprenticeship to help them learn a little bit more. But I think you have to have a game plan. I think you got to talk about it, communicate a lot, and be clear on what's asked of them. A lot of times, if somebody wants to learn and do more, unfortunately, they have their current job that they're doing. They need to put that extra time in and do it on their own terms to learn more and to grow. But having a path and a game plan is important if you're wanting to learn to do more. And there's a lot of positions in a dealership, and just because we hire somebody for sales, that doesn't mean that they wouldn't be a great parts manager one day. So we try to make sure that we recognize that and talk about it a lot.
Eddie, let's go to you. You mentioned...
Yeah, a couple of things that we do is I tend to have one-on-one coaching sessions directly with our staff, whether it be a service advisor, a salesperson, a lot porter, receptionist, does not matter. And for us, I think the key thing for us is to actually engage our employees, for myself to engage our employees, and coach them through to give the proper advice, proper training, proper coaching. And again, it's worked very, very well for us. Being a smaller store that's growing at a rapid pace, it allows us to have additional positions available to promote from within. So again, that's an empowering thing for our employees. We get total engagement from our staff, and with that allows us to get to our goals and ultimately success in what we're doing. So.
Thank you. And Alan, you had something to add as well.
Yeah, I think Eddie touched on it a little bit, but we always go above and beyond to try to promote from within. Number one, it sends a very powerful message to your employees that, hey, if I work really hard, if I'm loyal to the company, I do a great job, then there's future opportunity for me, whether it's in this department or, like Adam said, in another department. There will be opportunity for me if I go above and beyond the call of duty. Also, the reason we do that is because when you promote an employee, you already know what you're getting. You already know their level of integrity. You know if they show up to work on time. You know if they take long lunches. You know if their paperwork's clean. You know everything about that employee, and most importantly, you know who they are on a personal level as well. So when you interview a new candidate, you don't know what you're getting. You're just meeting their representative. You're meeting who they want you to think they are. And you can interview them 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It doesn't matter. You still don't know until they've been here for a couple months. So if you promote from within, well, then you always know what you're getting. You already know who's moving into that management position.
How do you all train your employees? Adam, you mentioned a couple different techniques. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Hannah. So we participate in NADA and NCM 20 groups, as well as we're members of a CFO 20 group. And it's great to go on the trips, but the rubber really meets the road when you get back from these trips, and it's what happens in the store that really matters. When we get back, it's the general managers in the stores. It's their jobs to hold the department managers accountable for the goals or the guarantees of action that were set during the trip. Without that, there's just not much point in participating. So we really emphasize holding our team members accountable once we get back from these trips. In addition to that, another thing that some of our stores are looking at doing is, we're taking a hard look at, every dollar that we spend in marketing, particularly at our .coms right now. I was in one of our stores the other day, and the general manager said, what if we cut a specific .com, we cut it or cut it in half, and what if we put that money into training our salespeople on how to better handle the incoming leads, our opportunities to do business that are walking in the door or emailing or calling the dealership. So I think it's a great idea. It's something we're looking at all of our stores.
Okay, great. Does anybody else have anything to add, any training tips that have worked well for you?
Yeah, we find that one-on-one role playing is really the key. We take a cue from Alan Beatty at Chevrolet and do the basics brilliantly. So the car business may have changed quite a bit over the last, 5, 10, 15 years. But when you get back to doing the basics and you role play and you get the words coming out of the employees' mouths, then they start to become comfortable with it, and it becomes second nature. So when they're on the lot or in the showroom with the customer, they, like I said, it's second nature. They don't have to think about what they're going to say, and they move forward. So we find that role playing is crucial.
There's Hannah. We found that there's 3 kinds of ups in the car business these days. There's your showroom up, there's your phone up, and there's your internet up. And Adam touched on it a little bit, but you have to train on how to handle all of these because they all have to be handled differently. So we have different training every day. We try to train on a different topic every week. We'll do it every day, each day by a different manager. That way you get that manager's point of view. And some salespeople relate to certain managers and some relate to other managers. That way everybody gets an opportunity to really learn the material.
I think for our store, the key thing that we typically do is that, again, we have small group shift meetings that go individual training with 3, 4 people at a time instead of being a multitude of, just in a big classroom setting. So one-on-one training with each, particular person, whether it be the service manager and his advisors or sales manager and the salespeople. It allows us to kind of individualize and cater the training to each individual employee. Which again has reaped a lot of benefits for the store based on just individual, catering to their strengths, opposed to just umbrella, blanketing everything and saying this is the way we need to do it for all, everything. Everybody's different, and allows us to again individualize and cater to that particular employee.
And I'll add one more thing, Hannah, something that we do for new hires that I think is a little bit unique, and maybe some of you guys do that as well, is when you're hired, we have you work in every department in the store at least a couple of days, because we want you to get to know who you're working with on a day-to-day basis, and then have also realistic expectations of what they can do in their job. So when you have interaction with your department to their department, you're not asking them something that's really not feasible. And more than that, though, I think it helps know who you're working with. You know everybody. Everybody knows everybody's first names. You've worked with them for at least a couple of days, and helps the relationships inside the store.
Great, thank you very much. Sorry, was there one more?
Oh, I was just going to comment, Dustin. We've done that same thing in our stores, and it's been tremendous. It builds a lot of value in the individual employee, knowing what is going on around them in the other departments.
Absolutely.
How have your hiring practices changed in the last few years? Rob, you have your candidates make multiple visits to the dealership before you make them an offer. Can you discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. We took a look at our hiring practices and realized that they needed to kind of be beefed up a little bit. So we do ask our applicants to come in for second and third interviews with different people higher up the scale with each interview. And the reason is because, as someone mentioned earlier, when they come in for their first interview, they are on their game. It's the best they're ever going to be. But as they get more comfortable with you, their true side starts to show. And we've had people that don't show up for the second or third interview. And, well, if you don't show up for the second or third interview, then certainly you're not going to be a good candidate for our organization. We work with a company called Hirology, and they have a hiring practice that we follow through their system. And we're finding that through their personality test that we're actually hiring different people because of it. Before, it was who's the 25 a month car a month guy, that we want here, and let's hire him. And now if we hire that person, they usually last about 2-3 weeks here because they don't want to follow the processes that we have implemented here that make us successful. So between all that, we find that we're hiring more of newbies to the car industry, people who are more product-oriented, more customer-oriented than gross-oriented, to be completely honest. And if you make the customers happy, profits will follow.
Adam, you talked about this too. You said you used to go through, some applications. Now you have more of a digital process. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Hannah. So our previous process from probably 10 years ago could best be described as a shotgun approach. We'd run a bunch of ads in the local newspaper, have a bunch of not very qualified applicants show up, and if we were looking for one person to fill the position, we might hire 4 and hope that 1 or 2 of them work out, and usually not even that happened. Now we're much more focused. I'd really call it more of a laser-like approach now, where it's digitally focused. We're using a lot of the HR-specific websites to target potential applicants. We're doing a lot of extensive networking on LinkedIn. It has been very successful for us. So the applicants that we're getting into interview have been much more qualified. And even before they make it to the in-person interview process, we're pre-screening them for the proper qualifications. We're doing a phone interview with them. So by the time they make it in to the hiring manager, we've got a pretty well qualified applicant in front of us. Then after that, assuming we offer them the position, they have to pass background checks and reference checks. So it's just a much more clearly defined HR process, or hiring process, than we've had in the past, and it's yielding great results for us.
Great, thanks, Adam and Rob. Other panelists, anything you'd like to add on how the hiring process has changed for you?
Well, I think if you really want to find out the truth about somebody, go look at their Facebook page. You can find out a lot about somebody really quickly after you've interviewed them. If you want to look at their Facebook page and find out what type of person they are, what kind of character they have. But some of the things that were mentioned are great ideas. Getting to meet the spouse of the applicant, I think is great, because you have a good understanding of their relationship and our relationship with as an employee. And but I enjoyed listening to some of those ideas the guys had earlier.
Okay. What qualities are you guys seeing in employees that rise to the top?
Well, so Hannah, I guess the biggest quality that we see is just integrity. The old school car guy that, like someone said earlier, sells 25 cars a month and makes you a whole lot of money. He's not making it in the business anymore because no one gets sold the way they used to get sold. Now we're finding the people with integrity, the people that do it the right way. Those are the guys I want on my team because they're going to build customer retention. They're going to get me a lot more referral business. and it's just the right thing to do. So we look at the guys with high integrity levels and the guys that work really hard. Work ethic now is more important than talent, skill, because it's no matter how smart you are, how educated you are, how talented you are, how skilled you are. If you don't put hard work behind it, it's all worthless. It's all pointless. And in the car business, you get in or you get out what you put in. So we're all about integrity and hard work. If you can mix those two things together, the rest of it just comes along with it.
And to touch on what you just said, Alan, I mean, the big thing for our store is that when we look for, who rises to the top, it tends to be people with values, integrity, work ethic, et cetera. And so, those are the type of qualities that we want on our team here at our store, simply because of the fact that with integrity, with hard work, and putting forth the effort, that will beat out the talent that's in the pool. There tends to be, the people that work the hardest will generally find out how to figure out what solution to the problem there is. And so for us, it just really is, the values are really what's important to us. Being that we are, a family-operated business, that's who we are, and that's the type of people that we look for, and that's the people that do rise to the top.
I can't agree more. Those values are absolutely crucial, for promoting someone into management. But also, we look for someone who really can work with the people around them. In the past, we used to hire that same 25-car-a-month guy who was good at selling cars. Hey, let's make him a manager. And in the past, I feel like we managed more car deals than we did our people. So I'm looking for people that can manage the car deals and the people. There's so much more that a sales manager has to do today than to close deals. They have to motivate their staff. There's calls that they have to make. There's people that they have to speak to other than closing deals. Unhappy customers that they have to deal with. So we need someone who's really well-rounded. It's not just the top car salesman that gets promoted to manager. It's someone who's really well-rounded.
And Hannah, just to throw one more on the list, because these have been some great recommendations. But the one thing we really try to look for and pinpoint in our applicants and employees is attitude. If you have a good attitude, you can go really far. Just in our experience, if someone has a bad attitude, it's hard to coach that out of them. Typically, they get coached out of the organization. So we really look for people with good attitude. It seems simple, but it's worked well for us.
That's right, and I couldn't agree more. Not only do you have to have a good attitude, but you have to enjoy where you work. You have to smile all day long. People are drawn to people with a smile on their face. We all know that, but how good have we been over the years at making sure our employees are doing that? So you got to be positive. You got to really enjoy where you work. People put so much emphasis on customer satisfaction when it should really be first on employee satisfaction. Happy employees equal happy customers. If all of my guys and gals love to work here, I don't have to worry about them making my customers happy. They'll do it easily.
Great point.
Thank you. How do you engage your employees for the long term? Dustin, can you start by telling us about the quarterly meetings that you have?
Yeah, I think giving your employees the ability to have a say in things you do. We have a quarterly board meeting, if you want to call it that, board meeting, but basically it's a candidate from every department. Sometimes they have more than one. No managers are allowed. What we do is throughout the quarter we'll get ideas, we'll get suggestions from their peers, from their coworkers on things that they think they can improve on. And then quarterly we'll have a board meeting. We'll get together and I say, all right guys, tell me about all the dumb things we do and tell me how you can do it better. And you would be amazed about how many ideas we've gotten just to be more efficient, to be more profitable, and then we reward those ideas with cash. So they have an opportunity to make a little extra money. They have a say in what's going on. They have a say in how their job and the process, if there's something that we feel like can be streamlined a little bit better. But we call it the dumb things that Dustin does meetings. So it gives us a chance to improve everything we do.
Okay, how about the rest of you? Any pointers, anything that's worked to engage your employees for a very long time?
Absolutely, Hannah. So, one of the things that we do with 5 stores, there's always a position open, it seems like. So one of the things that we try to do is always look internally for that position, because I think some of the guys touched on this earlier, but nothing sends a better message to your team than promoting from within. And I think it was Alan that said we know these people, or maybe it was Dustin. One of you guys said, we know these people already. We know their positive traits. We know what we're going to get out of them. So that's one of the things we do. It sends a great message to the rest of the organization. We have we have an example of a gentleman that started working with us when he was 16 years old. He started answering the phone at our small Chevy store. He worked his way up to the point where he's a vice president and general manager of one of our largest Toyota stores. So, he's just a perfect example of what we feel like our organization can do to grow individuals, and that means a lot. That's something that's a great story for us to be able to tell a potential applicant when we're sitting down and interviewing them. To show them the potential that there is, not only in the car business but specifically in our organization.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to add? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. When I was asking you all about empowering the employee, some of you discussed empowering the employee to take better care of the customer. Alan, that was something you mentioned. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, so Hannah, we spend thousands and thousands of dollars, and some of the bigger companies, guys we're talking to right now, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, trying to get people to come in that may not come in, and if they do come in, they may or may not ever do business with us. So we spend all this money trying to bring them in, but then we don't spend any money to keep the customers that already love us, the customers that already trust us, the customers that are already doing good business with us and that we're already making a profit on. So one of the things we've done for years is we empower our employees. If you've got an upset customer on the service drive, if you've got an upset customer because the salesman told them, hey, it's going to have this on it, if you can fix a deal and make a customer happy that's already purchased and serviced with us for a certain amount of money, then we just empower them to go ahead and do it. If it waits all the way until it gets to me, well, then even after I pay for it, the customer's still probably never going to come back. So what I've done, especially with my managers, is just empower those guys. Hey, if we can fix this for less than $500, I'm spending thousands of dollars trying to bring people in when I could save all these people for a whole lot less money and have a good, happy, loyal customer.
Yeah, I can't agree more. We do something very similar. Every one of our employees, from the lot guys to the porters, all the way up through general sales managers, are empowered with a certain dollar amount depending on their level of employment. And if they can take care of a customer right then and there, then we encourage them to do so. Initially, it was a little scary because it was like, oh, everyone's going to be giving stuff away. But like Alan was saying, by the time it gets to us, it's expensive. And it's expensive because not only are we going to go ahead and pay for it, in our positions, but by the time it gets to us, it could be a couple weeks. And a $200 issue that happened, one day, by the time it gets to us, a $2,000 issue. So we find that handling it on the spot right then and there as quickly as possible really reduces the cost of policy adjustments that we have to make, and the customers are much happier.
Rob, I couldn't agree more. I agree with both everything you and Alan said, and the point that gets driven home to our team is if it makes it to the GM of the store, typically it's going to be free, right? So let's not let it take 2 weeks or a month. Let's take care of it on the spot, and it goes a long way. The other thing, 5 or 10 years ago, what did we used to say? We said, if an unhappy customer might tell 10 of their friends. Well, now what's an unhappy customer do? They're going to leave us a scathing review on Google or on our Facebook page, and how many people does that touch? I mean, that can touch thousands, in the matter of hours. So, it's just something we have to be conscious of. We got to take care of these problems because, to Alan's point, how much money do we spend to try to get people to come into our stores? And then we're going to, lose a customer over $50 or $100. It just doesn't make any sense.
I think it's a good point, Adam. And if I recall correctly, I think Ritz-Carlton was the one that kind of came up with the idea of being able to empower their employees by being able to fix a problem monetarily. I think their limit was $500 a day per employee, and that makes us think that, hey, we should always look outside the automotive industry at other business models, not just look at other dealerships, but other, if Apple is doing something that's fantastic for customer service, or or how their process goes. I think that we always need to be looking outside of our industry also to improve how we do things in our operations.
Absolutely, Dustin. One of the things we like to talk about, especially in our luxury stores, but we really need to do in all of our stores, is take ourselves out of the car business. What if this were a Ritz-Carlton? How would we treat that agitated service customer the same way? So I totally agree with your point. We have to take ourselves out of the car business. Treat it like a luxury business.
It is a luxury business for most customers.
Just a reminder to the audience there. Oh.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say even a $20,000 purchase for someone could be absolutely huge purchase for them. So we do it every day. We have to be cognizant of what the customer's feeling when they walk through the door.
Thank you all. For the next question, how are your employees, your young employees to be specific, changing the retail landscape?
Well, I think my young employees, we have quite a few of them, and the key thing is they don't have the typical bad habits of the auto industry. I got in this business about 18 years ago and learned from, for lack of a better word, the old school car guy. And with that that mindset, it just unfortunately in today's landscape it does not work. The beauty of the young employee is that they have different way of doing business, and what it is that their character actually shows through more so than the product itself. Now, we carry a great product, no question about it, but the reason why a person will come to me in this store to purchase an automobile is the actual person. With the young employees that we have, they kind of again cater it more towards the customer experience more so than the product. Now, again, it's fortunate that we do have a product that's phenomenal, but at the end of the day, it's the experience that the customer is looking for.
And as part of that experience, I would say that their use of technology is also far greater than some of the older car guys, as we were saying. There's still guys around here that have flip phones, and unfortunately, those don't do exactly what we need them to do. But customers are expecting technology in the sales process and the service process, whatever it may be. And we do find that the younger people coming into the auto business, they have those technology skills that some of the older guys don't.
One of the things we've realized is that some of the younger people, they watch their parents work their whole life, mom and dad, have a nice home, 2 cars in the driveway, and one thing I've found, especially since I'm out of the metro now and I'm a couple hours outside of the big metro Houston, I found that they're not looking to make as much money, but they're also not looking to work as hard. So one of the things we've really tried to implement, we haven't figured it out yet, but we're trying to implement more time off because that's what these guys are looking for. They want a weekend off. They don't want to work every Saturday like I did when I sold cars and like I've done for 18 years since then. They want to have a long weekend once a month. They don't need to make as much money. They don't want to work their life away like most of us have and like their parents did. So trying to cater to that younger person that knows the things like you guys talked about, the technology and the things that we need in our business, you can do that a lot, not just with money like we used to. You used to just throw money at it. Now you do it with a better schedule. You do it with better benefits. You do it with a little more time off.
Yeah, and along with that, along with that, we find also that the pay plans are also starting to change. We're looking at developing non-commission pay plans to attract some of these younger people into the workforce. Some of the younger people, the commission structure just scares the death out of them, and they shy away from the auto industry. And these are the people that we need to attract. So we're working on different pay plans, tier-based, volume-based, with salaries incorporated into it to help attract some of these people.
Rob, we've actually done that about 5 years ago. We kind of figured out we're in a college town, and so we have a lot of younger employees, and so we had to go more to a market-based pricing. So our retail landscape changed in the fact that we have less negotiation. We call it documentation is the new negotiation. So we like to provide evidence that our price is fair, and we do a volume-based pay incentives. They're not paid off commission, so they let the customer know, hey, I'm not paid on commission. My job is to find the right car for you for the right budget, and to the product specialist, and it's worked really well for us. So like I said, we've been doing it about 5 years now, and I wouldn't go back. I know a lot of people, that's a terrible thing, and it's not, it doesn't fit for every store, but for our store, younger generation, college town, it seems to work really well.
Okay, thank you. So texting in the service drive and digital F&I menus have become pretty widely accepted across dealerships. But what are some other unique ways that technology has played a role at your dealerships?
So Hannah, one of the things that we've implemented or we've started using is it seems primarily at our luxury stores. And Eddie, maybe you can appreciate this, and probably all of you guys. But it seems like we're selling cars to people that are further and further away from the dealership, and it's not always possible for that guest to come to our store or for us to send a sales consultant out to actually physically deliver the car. So we've started utilizing FaceTime to deliver the car. Go through all the features on a car when we're not able to actually be there in person. And it's pretty cool. The guest really likes it. They like the the technology involved. So it's been a little bit of a wow factor.
And for my store, every salesperson does have an iPad. We do provide an iPad for every single salesperson. What this allows us to do, and what this what allows us to provide for the guest, is not necessarily FaceTime, but we do videos on YouTube. We have digital brochures loaded into these iPads. So when a customer physically is at our store, then we have a digital brochure to show the client. We can email it to them. We can do a lot of different things with that. Fortunately for us, also there's a lot of videos on a lot of our technology that are on our cars. So we use our technology to actually showcase the actual technology of the actual product itself. It makes it less cumbersome. People don't have to flip through pages. We have everything at the touch of a button. And so for us, that's been very, very successful, and allows us to be kind of a little bit more progressive than hopefully some of our competitors.
We do something that turned out to be really fun for the customers. It was kind of an unexpected plus to it, but we send out video confirmations for all of our appointments. So we do confirm our appointments via telephone, email, text, whatever it may be. But the day of the appointment, we have the car pulled up with a tag in it with their name on it, and then our manager will go out and shoot a quick, maybe 20-second video letting the customer know that the car is here and that we're waiting for them. And we get some pretty funny responses back. But the important thing is that we get responses back. And we know when people are coming, we know when people aren't coming, and our show ratio has really gone through the roof.
Okay. Anything else to add from anyone?
The one thing with technology that I do want to touch on is as an executive manager, it allows us to actually analyze the data. We use the analytics, of the iPads, of the different technologies, and it allows us to analyze that data and then kind of make it a little bit more concise when it comes to our advertising and things of that nature. So, it makes us more efficient, and again, that's a key component of us. So.
Well, thank you. I think that was about as many great ideas you can pack into 30 minutes. So thank you so much, Adam, Alan, Dustin, Eddie, and Rob for sharing your insights with us, and to Steve and Ally for supporting this event. If you'd like to catch the recording, it will be available at autonews.com/40hangout. The full list of this year's 40 Under 40 honorees, their stories, interviews, video, and more is now available in print and online. Thanks again for tuning in, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.